Hello, and welcome again to the Monster Sci-Fi Show. I am your host, The Monster, and for today's podcast, I'm doing something completely different. I'm not going to be talking as much, I should say. Today's podcast, I'm going to talk about the last trailer for Star Wars. Not ever, just for this last trilogy. And of the last two trilogies, this is a kind of a big deal. I thought about not watching the trailer because it's the third one, the final trailer. Like I've always said for other movies, I don't watch the final trailer because by then you already have my money, and two, you don't want to give out so much more information about the damn movie that you're going to be unsurprised. So, I know how I felt about this trailer, but I don't want to tell you that. I'm more curious to see how other people reacted to this trailer. So I called up a few friends, and yes, I do have friends other than Mr. Gene. Not to knock Mr. Gene, but there are other people besides us that enjoy Star Wars for various reasons and in various degrees of fandom. So I'm curious to hear about their reaction to the trailer. What do they feel about Star Wars in general? Again, I'm doing this completely different, and I have 6 people on this podcast. First, I have David.
It looked pretty good. This is good to hear the voice of Emperor Kirk talking to Spock. Just kidding.
It was can't cross the streams, man. Next is Barbara.
And I'm coming at it from a different perspective.
Even maybe a certain point of view, like on my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Diana. And you saw this because I posted on Facebook?
Yeah, you posted it.
Okay. See? My podcast does something good for the world.
Okay.
So,
now you're going a little ahead of yourself.
Hey. It's all about self-promotion here. It's all about that.
I see that.
My friend Tigger.
How are you?
I've had better days.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm here.
Wow, I thought I had a shitty day. Yeah, I'm here. Next is Melinda.
Good, how are you? I just wanted to watch the trailer one more time.
Good. I'm glad you got to be part of this.
Yay, me too. I hope I can help.
And lastly, her husband, Frank.
Some of my other friends, we'll go out to a bar and, like my parents will say oh, how could you let him go out to a bar? He's probably talking about girls. No, we're talking about Star Wars. We are literally talking about Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Now that you know who is going to be on this podcast, I can almost guarantee that you will never hear a more wretched hive of scum and villainy on any other podcast. Let's get started.
I like Shiv Palpatine. I liked his rise that you got to see from episode 1 till now, and you'll get to see his plan, and maybe we'll find out some more about Supreme Leader Snoke. So I think it'll be, for me, I'm interested. I'm really excited to see how that's going to play out with all of his Imperial Star Destroyers. Where did the people, where did all those pilots and people to man those ships come from? How did he hide that?
It was action-packed. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of running. Very exciting. I felt like there were a lot of religious undertones, oddly enough, and I can't really pinpoint why. at this moment, but yeah, it seemed like a very epic way to go.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, it looked really good, very grandiose. But, you know, I'm kind of like lost with the whole Luke Skywalker thing. I don't know what happened to him, so I'm kind of lost there. But I guess I have to go back and see that movie that I didn't see. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, when you saw the originals as a little kid, nothing is going to be as good as that. So it's like, even though they brought in, you have to bring in new characters because, you know, the story evolves. People get older and they die and they move on or whatever. And then, you know, 2 of the people died already. So it's like, and then there's that whole thing about this girl, you know, there's all this talk about, is she Luke Skywalker's daughter or not? It's too obvious, blah, blah, blah. Nobody knows. So that's the whole thing that kind of, I guess, maybe that is a good thing because I guess the whole premise is maybe she's supposed to carry on, I guess, after him or something. I don't know.
Nostalgia-wise, I'm always going to be excited about Star Wars no matter what because it's Star Wars. But I don't feel the connection to these characters that I have with past characters. So while I'm intrigued and I am excited for the movie, I'm not as invested emotionally into it as I have been previously.
Well, I can tell you from after I watched the last trailer, I thought it was kind of cool. You know, I enjoyed the music, the cinematography. It seems very large. You know, I appreciate the fan service, you know, like the throwback to all the characters from the original movies. I was a little bit confused by some things because I missed a couple things. I don't know, but I thought it was okay. Frank, would you like to share your take?
Freaking horses, man. Literally, like seriously, horses in space. Like,
but they
I know
were not horses.
If you look at it closely,
were...
okay, fine, they have something, but like even the Star Treks, like from the 1960s, at least they had like little fuzzy antennas coming out of the dogs. I mean, you could tell it was a dog, but at least they tried. This one, like, you couldn't find like a cardboard cutout of something, and then on top of that, they're in space.
Well, I think they wanted it to look realistic.
How
it's
realistic is that?
Horses. I just.
They're hairy horses. They're a species of horse.
Space horses, of course.
They're from another planet. Yes.
That apparently, like, once you ride them, you can survive the vacuum of space too, right?
Is that what that was?
So like physics just doesn't apply in this last movie, apparently.
When the first teaser came out, I was at work, a library outreach event at a comic convention. And I got a notification, I think from USA Today or CNN, that a teaser trailer was out, the first one ever for this upcoming film. And so I played it, and like my jaw dropped. And it was the opening scene of Rey trying to outrun the TIE fighter, Kylo Ren's TIE fighter. And I watched it a couple times, and then I could hear quiet come over the hall, and I could see the guy across that was running the booth across from us watching it. And I could hear somebody in the curtain behind him that they were watching it. And it was like slowly everybody was starting to watch it and look up. Like, did anyone else see that?
Well, I'm not like a big Star Wars fan to begin with. I do like it, but I'm not that emotionally invested in it. A history with the characters isn't really going to be that important to me. I just felt like, I don't know, like it's been a long time since I've seen them, but I've seen better, because it seemed like just, you know, finding yourself and finding your way and an adventure through space. It was kind of like a generic story that I've seen done better, not attached to a franchise. That was my impression.
But yeah, I mean, it looks beautiful. I mean, it's supposed to be a really good director, right? He has a really good vision, and it looks amazing. I mean, it's a lot better than what George Lucas did with
what, with the prequels?
Yeah.
Well, I did feel that I was moved by the new trailer because it's like the end. You know, it's like, wow, this is it really the end? Wow, that's crazy. You know,
it's totally not. I mean, we're still gonna see more Star Wars content. You know, at least not maybe parts of the trilogy, but you know, like say like Rebels or Clone Wars style or the Solo movie, just in between. You know, maybe a Boba Fett movie. Who knows?
Because think about it, they said if they were tied to the prequels, tied to the original films. Obviously, they tied to the original films with, you know, the Death Star, you know, the ruins of that. How do you tie from, the prequels? No one's alive from there, unless you go to Tatooine. Unless there's none of the ships are the same. There's nothing that carries over, unless you have like a Force ghost, or it would be Palpatine or Jar Jar. You know, there's nothing that would carry over unless we get a sense of like a spirit, a Force spirit, like a Force ghost, like Yoda in the last film.
The characters are getting flattened out. Complex character, it takes time, it takes a little bit of risk, because you're sort of assuming things of your audience. And I think Disney wants to have it be like as easy as possible, appeal to the lowest common denominator.
No, I don't really feel any attachments to any of the. I mean, I sympathize with her story because, you know, that whole thing where it's very parallel to Luke's story and everything. But then that was the thing that we're saying is like, you know, there were so many things that were so obvious and so this. And so I don't know if it was just lack of creativity or if that's the whole idea that they wanted to keep that similar. I don't know. Her storyline. Right. And you kind of feel for her and stuff like that. And you sympathize with her.
I love the Star Wars story. I find it really interesting when people explain it to me, you know, and they're like, and then this happened and that happened. But when I have seen the movies, I've been like, okay, yeah, it's all right. Yeah. But I don't have that level of like, oh my God, it's epic. I don't feel that way about it.
With another one that I have, because Star Wars does have like the need to like tie up characters, like what happened? What about Snoke? I mean, am I supposed to just like believe that, okay, like this all powerful Sith Lord just kind of like got ignored by the Emperor and by, you know, like by Luke entirely? I mean, he doesn't look like he's 6 years old exactly.
And Rey, I think she's probably the strongest character, you know, backstory, reason to do this or that. You know, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna go dark and come light? Is she, you know, what is she gonna do? I think it's really, I could see, you know, them somehow switching sides. You know, Kylo coming back and her going dark and being upset. You know, something that hasn't been done. You know.
And I did catch a couple of things in there that I'm hoping I'm not reading too much into and getting myself excited for something that's not even going to happen. Like, okay, the scene where they destroy Vader's pedestal. Okay, so that to me does not look like a real scene, so to speak, because it's too white. So it almost feels like it's probably not real, and probably it's more than likely a vision. But I did notice a couple things there. He's wearing the helmet, which nowhere else is he ever wearing the helmet. And she's holding a dagger, which I'm hoping is a reference to the Clone Wars cartoon series. Because there's the episodes with the father, the son, and the daughter, where the father uses the dagger to try to help maintain control over the daughter, who is the light, and the son, who's the dark. So if you look, she's holding a dagger in the scene. And so you only see it for like a brief instance when as she's turning, but you do see it there. And you never see anybody holding daggers in Star Wars. So it definitely stuck out to me. And I'm hoping that's kind of what it is. So either, and then the fact that later on, Palpatine is like, you know, you coming together as your downfall. I'm thinking he may have been hiding the dagger, and that could have been like a scene of them, and she's taking control of the dagger. So either he had the dagger before and was hoping to control both the light and the dark, with her being the light and him being the dark, or it ends up being where she is both light and dark, and she can wield the dagger herself, which judging from the end of the film where she's kind of like, I mean, the end of the trailer where she's kind of like half lit in light, she's half lit in the darkness. I'm kind of leaning toward that route. Ren, I'm assuming, is going to go good. I don't see him staying evil. I see him as she's going to convince him for the right path. And in the previous trailer where they show her where she's, you know, as a Sith, either that's going to end up being like a clone, or more than likely it's going to be like where she's having a vision of herself, and she has to confront herself there. So, I mean, there was definitely a lot I really was excited about, and I love that Luke's coming back, and I'm sad that Leia's gone, but we all knew that was going to happen. And you kind of got the feeling that somebody died before she even spoke at the end because of the armbands that they were all wearing throughout the trailer. And so you already knew there was like a large tragedy. The fact that she still comes back as a Force ghost is definitely kind of cool. And I'm sure Anakin's going to come back. Like I can't see them doing all this and not bringing Anakin back. So I'm wondering if he's going to be a voice of reason to Kylo that's going to help him kind of turn good. And maybe that's where the vision comes in of them destroying the Darth Vader helmet. That's how I took it.
My guess is that they're saving some, things to be seen, like big surprises. Because I've heard rumors of anything going from Ahsoka will be in the film to a Force ghost of Anakin to, kind of tell him he's going the wrong way. To, of that extent, that big of a surprise.
From a socioeconomic perspective, where are they getting the manpower for this?
I mean,
and where are they getting
Yeah.
like the contractors for this and all this stuff? Like goes back to like Clerks.
Yeah,
the
thank
Clerks
you.
movie. You know, it's just
Thank
like,
you for that
like,
reference.
dude, who's building all this stuff? And it's true. Like, dude, that's a really big project. You don't exactly just get the layman from the side of the street and say, "Hey, you want a couple bucks?" You know.
They're just doing their jobs, man. They did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Oh, Maxie Big, the Force. What in that smell stinker with?
The dark side of the Force is a path to power that many would find unnatural. So he's definitely hidden himself once before. Wants to say he couldn't have done it again. And I would have to believe that he still follows, the rule of two. So who would be his now? The other thing is in the trailer you never really got to see his face. Maybe it's Jar Jar.
I did absolutely love the fan theory of Jar Jar being a Sith Lord. I did. I really would have. I thought that was great. I'm like, wait a minute, he can speak normally? Oh my God, he does speak normally in a couple of scenes. What the hell? It's like you're the annoyance. You get so annoyed with the character that you don't notice when he is,
Right, when he slips, so I'm like,
yeah.
Wait, what?
I was like, wait a minute. You're right. He did just do a perfect dive into the water. What? How did I not see that? So yeah, I would totally back that as long as it doesn't take the place of Palpatine.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
When you empathize with characters, you have to find out where they came from, why they're behaving this way, what struggles they've gone through, and how they're rising above it. But you have to feel something for them. If you want to root for them, you have to kind of feel. You either feel camaraderie, or you empathize, or you feel like a connection because, oh shit, they're going through the same crap I'm going through, or they're struggling. You have to have some kind of connection. And the whole thing with the Princess Leia and Han Solo thing, because the moments that hurt the most were like that, like in the Empire Strikes, well, because that's one of the best ones anyway.
Yeah.
But when they take them and they freeze them, and she like the horror, the face of horror on her face, and you feel her pain, and you can empathize with that kind of pain, and so I think that human element is missing, maybe.
There's a lot made of like Kylo Ren. I don't buy him. Like, I can't sympathize. Like, okay, a good negative character should be someone that you could kind of get in their head and see how that could happen to someone and twist them in a certain way, you know? Like, a good antagonist is someone you can sympathize with, because then that's a good reflection of human nature and just the duality of everything and how everything is a spectrum and how, you know, you are your environment. But I didn't feel anything with him. He just seemed cartoonishly, like, emo.
But I guess I can see that the newer characters haven't, like, really evolved as much. You know, like, I can see that it feels to me that they've kind of stayed the same since the first
They don't even change clothes. Lando Calrissian is still walking around with a cape.
Yeah. Well,
their dry clean must be awesome. I guess this goes back to Star Trek, because I do consider myself a Star Trek fan too, but it's just, and it's the same gripe that I have with Star Trek. Is like, you have a galaxy full of potential characters, but you remain focused on like the same dozen, you know, and it gets old after a while. Like, oh, well, you expect Leia to do that. You expect Luke to do that.
Right.
And I think what I remember fondly in the at least the original trilogy, and parts of the sequel, which I will give it credit for, was just like that grittiness of it. You know, like that any upcoming scene will look like something out of Jim Henson's Muppet Shop.
Right.
Like that grittiness about it, that used universe.
Personally, if I had the opportunity to show somebody from the beginning, I would do it chronologically, because that makes episode 5 so much more. If you've seen a whole film of, if you saw Solo, and then you get to episode 5, and he's getting frozen, and you're like, oh, this, and you've already seen 6, and then you saw episode 7 already, well, he dies in that one, so I don't really care about Solo, because I know he's gonna make it anyway until episode 7. So I feel that it's much, you're able to be more surprised. The films will take more of a toll on you.
What I found is when you watch it numerically, you don't have the attachment. It all goes back to the attachment of the characters. Mm-hmm. You don't have the attachment to the characters, so the interest doesn't stick for the whole saga. So if you watch it in the order that it came out, you form the attachment already, and then it's kind of like it builds that excitement of, oh, that's why that's the way it is. Oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. But when you watch it in order, it's more, because it reads like a regular story. It takes away a little bit of the surprise. Yeah. It takes away a little bit of the mystery, because it's already explained straight through for you.
No, in chronological order. Yeah, episodes 1 through 9, and follow through with the Clone Wars and all of that stuff. Just because this is me, I'm the one that wanted 9 movie tickets. So
right. No,
I want things in an order.
You don't think it should be like episode 1, 2, 3, then Clone Wars, then what comes after Clone Wars?
Episode 3.
Oh, 1, 2, Clone Wars, 3. You don't think it should be by events?
No, I think it should be like the just as they were their intended chronological order. Because I feel like it would be weird to see this guy General Grievous,
right?
Like General Grievous, seeing him and then not seeing him. It's like, wait, what happened to that guy? Oh, he gets killed later, but before it happened. Right. It's weird. And also, I think, this is just putting it out there, because General Grievous was grossly misused, underused.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
So, David, cool. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your help.
My pleasure.
All right, man.
Of course.
Take care.
All right, you too.
All right.
Bye.
Monty, you have the best show. Seriously.
Thank you, Barbara. And your check is in the mail.
Oh, well, thank you.
Right. Don't expect a lot. I'm just saying the check is in the mail. All right. Diana, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
See, that wasn't that bad.
No. I gotta deal with my kids' drama.
I know. That's why
it's never ending here in this house.
Hey, I live with it too. Well, less.
Yeah.
But I know.
All right.
Thank you again, Diana.
Oh,
you're
welcome. No, you're welcome. You have a good night.
You too. Take care.
We haven't done the Star Wars Monopoly game too much, but you know what I do have that he has been willing to play with me a couple of times is the Star Wars Epic Duels game.
Oh.
the board game.
Mhm.
The old school. Yeah,
Yep.
he has played that with me, but it's such a long game.
Jesus, really?
Have you played it yet?
Nope.
Oh, I know where you. You must play with me.
Okay.
It's better if we have more people. Like if we can get 4 people,
Mhm.
then that's when you really have to have 4 people.
Oh, of
Otherwise
course.
you can't really play it. But we've got to play it. Like we got to get like Gene.
Oh, he'll be
And-
there.
Yeah, we got to get Gene and at least one more person who really likes Star Wars.
We'll
We
make
gotta
it a
do
date
it.
someday.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, Tigger.
All right,
Go
well, you
to
have an
sleep.
amazing night. All right,
You
we'll
too.
talk soon.
Love you,
Bye.
Tigger.
Love you too.
All right, take care.
Bye.
He got
Oh,
sucked out
right.
into space. Only,
Right.
Only Leia, Mary Poppins made it.
Oh yeah, when Leia went full Mary Poppins too.
So yeah, we have lots of similar frustrations. So I appreciate your information on that, Frank.
It was it's been very lovely to vent. Thank you.
Yeah. See, this is why I don't go out drinking with Frank anymore.
Imagine this, but with like a couple, like with alcohol involved and just like slamming
Right.
things. Like no, lots of negativity.
Right.
For hours.
we can definitely do this without alcohol. Same effect, cheaper too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this
Well,
is
thank you.
a little bit longer than I wanted, but I'm glad we did this. I'm really happy that we got to
Yeah,
do
it was
this.
fun.
So
Yes, thank you for thinking of us.
Thank you, both of you, so much for helping be part of this podcast. So,
No problem. Good
No problem.
luck.
thank you. This is going to be a little
Okay.
different, so it's going to be a lot of editing involved. So,
Yes, I'm sure.
all right, guys, have a good night. Thank you again
All right.
so much.
Good
All right,
night. No problem.
take
Bye.
care. Bye.